Hello, in this video, I wanted to do something different. Instead of talking about earth science, physics, biology concepts, what I wanted to do is talk about 1 year of virtual teaching, some tips, some tools, some equipment that have made my life easier, and I'd recommend checking out. So, first, if you don't have two screens for virtual teaching, that's the first thing I would recommend. What I like to do is have one screen to share with my students, one screen for all of my stuff. That allows me to do work while students are working and to make sure that I'm sharing what I want to share and not other random things that might happen to pop up on my screen with students. Two, I just have a whole bunch of physical equipment, things again that I like, things that have worked for me. And so I just wanted to go through and talk about them briefly. The first, I have a Logitech C930 webcam. Having a decent webcam is important, but not a big deal. Anything on your laptop would work, but nice to have. What's more important for certain, I think, is audio quality. And so I have an external microphone, just a studio type microphone, because sound quality I feel like is so much more important than video. What I do have are some speakers. I can't stand wearing headphones all day, and so when it's just me in a room and there's nothing noisy where I'd have to put on headphones, having some speakers, some external speakers, are certainly nice. I have a Roost laptop stand that just lifts my laptop off the table. So it's at eye level as opposed to just sitting lower. I found that it's really uncomfortable sitting all day. So a standing desk would also be great to help with this. I just have an external keyboard. I really like this Apple Magic keyboard because of the numeric keypad. I just had it at home. It has that 10 key for putting in grades, whatnot. I have a Grove made wood keyboard tray that I just like as well. Thought I'd list it here. External mouse, again, a Logitech MX Master 3 mouse that I just love. Just a desk pad. It's kind of nice to use all day long. What I really love is my iPad. Apple Pencil is fantastic for anything physics related, drawing things out for students. My iPad and the iPad Magic Keyboard is great as well. You can almost, I feel like, use this as a laptop replacement. Kind of behind things here, I do have a pair of headphones for when I'm teaching near others. My wife and at the beginning of the pandemic, we were in the same house, and if you're near anybody making noise, it's nice to be able to have some noise canceling headphones. I opted for a 4K monitor since I didn't want to have two monitors. I thought one big one would kind of help out, and I use Fancy Zone, so I'll talk about it in a little bit to split up my screen and make it usable. Desk mount is really nice. Again, just to kind of declutter. And again, for decluttering, I just have a little cable management box so I don't have cords running all over the place. Just some other tools that are kind of useful. I do have some external lighting. I like to do demonstrations, labs, where I can. And so having some kind of diffuse lighting, I have two Lume Cube panel goes that are very nice. And with those smartphone clips, so I can strap on a smartphone. I use that for recording demos. It's better, I think, than a webcam or a video camera. I don't want to buy a separate video camera, so that works pretty well. Little tripods, again, for that lighting or recording video. And then I just recently borrowed a CJI, OM4 gimbal. It's for like video stabilizing things. So if you want to go on a virtual field trip or if you wanted to just record video as you're walking around, helps to stabilize things. Outside of just physical equipment, there's lots of software that I've used this year. And you kind of have to stumble upon different things, but variety is try to, what I've tried to do, provide a whole bunch of variety this year. And so I'll just talk about some different tools that I've used. One that I really love is Microsoft Power Toys, and I use specifically Fancy Zones. So I opted again just so I don't have a couple different screens, just to go with one big screen. And you can split it up with Fancy Zones into different sections, and you can customize it however you like. And so I like to have Teams up at the top, kind of so I'm looking towards the camera as I have Teams pulled up. And then all the stuff I'm sharing on a separate screen that's also kind of up, so I kind of am looking towards someone. I like to have my email up all the time because I get lots of emails from students who don't want to write something in the Teams chat. And then I like to work on something when students are working on something. And so half of my screen just devoted to whatever I'm working on. Google Slides. I like to use Google Slides for bell ringers. What I found is that students kind of stumble into class within the first few minutes. That's something I need to work on. Students need to work on, I guess. And for transitions. And so I'll put up a bell ringer, what we're working on, so those first 5 minutes of class aren't wasted. And then from one of our consulting teachers, she had set in on some classes and said, I had to let out my dog at one point, and then I came back and no one was talking. I didn't know what to do. And so whenever students are working on something independently, I just put up, right now we're working on some directions, a timer. The timer is just linked to a YouTube video. It's at 20 minutes, but then I set it down to whatever time I want students to work independently so that they know what they're doing in case they get confused or lost or have to step out for a moment. One thing I found is really important, we use Canvas where I'm at for a learning management system. Organizing things is so important. And so the way I've set things up is in modules in Canvas. And so what I'll put every day is kind of our agenda in the modules, content, language, objectives. And then for each assignment, if we're doing it in class or if it's homework, for different reviews or whatever it might be. And I just tried to, for point values, make it however many minutes, we're working on things. I found I need to be much more organized this year than I ever have in the past. Also for assignments, what I found is putting in examples, providing lots of options has been something that's been great as well. Within assignments, highlighting anything students actually need to do to try to make things as clear as possible. Another tool I've used is Screencastify, so that's what I'm using right now to record videos. A lot of people recommend Camtasia or other video recording services. I just wanted something that's as simple as possible. It can be perfect or it can be done is kind of my philosophy. I just need to get things done. So it's just a Chrome extension, works really well. Videos are limited to 5 minutes unless you pay for the premium, which I did this year. This is one of two things, subscriptions that I've actually purchased, but I absolutely love it. Really easy to use and edit. For web tools, other things, Kahoot. Most people are kind of familiar with Kahoot, but students love Kahoot. It's pretty easy to do virtually. They just enabled something where they can see the questions on their screen as well. Lots of engaging things I feel like are necessary for virtual learning. Along those same lines, Quizlets are really easy to make, to assign for students to do matching or tests. Have to get 75%, have to match within, say, 45 seconds, just to review things really quick. Maybe one that you haven't heard of or I hadn't heard of before this year is Bamboozled that students really like. It's almost like a Jeopardy sort of thing where students pick a question. Really fun, easy to set up, works really well as a class. Gimkit is the only other thing that I've paid for this year for a subscription. Gimkit, it's a review game just like a Kahoot, except it's more like strategic, where you can assign homework for it if students miss. But basically, students answer questions. They can upgrade things. Again, students really seem to love this. And kind of variety, I feel like, is really important for virtual learning, more so than I've felt in the past. Online simulations, this is physics specific or science specific, but PhET is fantastic. I try to do that, use those, again, to kind of engage students. And virtual field trips is something I had never done before this year that I found is great. And so this one's from the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. I use for earth science, I use for biology, where students, again, have some choice to kind of look around at different things that are related to a given topic. One web tool I've used in the past, but I've upped even more this year, is Talking Points. And so contacting parents, I don't really want to use my cell phone. And so this is a web app, again, another web tool. One thing about this, what makes it stand out for me is, again, it's free, but you can select a language, and it may not be perfect, but can translate from English to 20 some other languages and back. And so just a great way to contact parents. At least where I'm at, email is not great. I'd prefer not to use the phone every time, but Talking Points makes things easy, and you can send mass messages where it'll even put the student's name in. And so I'd recommend taking a look at that. I decided to put the iPad apps last. Again, I use an iPad. I found it's been fantastic this year, way better for me than just an external kind of tablet that hooks up to my computer. And so I just thought I'd talk about some of the apps that I've used and how I've used them. Notability is fantastic, again, so I can just sort of draw on my screen and students can see what I'm doing to explain how they're supposed to do something. You can write on PDFs using Notability. Notability just works really well for me. Canva is another one I've started using recently. This next year, our group, the one I'm working with, are going to use badges. And so you can create anything from infographics to icons to whatever. And so I've been using that recently and absolutely love that. Duet display. If you don't have a second display, don't buy one. You can certainly borrow one. You can use a TV, or if you have an iPad, you can use your iPad. If you don't have a Mac computer, you can use it as an external display for a Windows, whether it's wired or wireless. It works for both. And so just another thing you can try out. iMovie I've used just to put together photos and videos to explain demos, to do demos, to just show various things off with very little effort. YouTube Studio, I've used everything I published, all these videos I obviously put on YouTube, and so have that on my iPad as well. And then again, this is content specific, but Physics Toolbox I've used myself and then for students because your phone has all these different sensors in it. And so you can use it when you're talking about waves as a sound meter, tone detector. You can use it with kinematic stuff, talking about acceleration in different directions. So that's the end of this video, just explaining some of the tools, some of the equipment that I found especially useful this year. If you have any questions, please write them in the YouTube comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions you've got. Thanks so much and have a great day.